It was a warm Thursday afternoon in London's Mayfair district, August 6, 2009. The sun bounced off polished car roofs and the glittering windows of New Bond Street, where wealth seemed to hum in the air. At precisely 4:40 p.m., two sharply dressed men stepped out of a black taxi and walked calmly toward one of the most exclusive jewelry stores in the world, Graff Diamonds. To anyone watching, they could have been bankers, art dealers, or even regular clients. Their suits were tailored, their demeanor confident. But hidden beneath the charm was something darker, cold precision, and a plan months in the making. Inside their pockets were handguns, and on their faces were masks. Not the kind you could buy in a shop. These were professional prosthetics, crafted by a makeup artist who believed she was preparing them for a music video. Latex flesh, false skin tones, wigs, contact lenses, enough to completely reinvent who they were. They walked in, smiled politely at the receptionist, and said they had an appointment. Seconds later, chaos erupted. One of them drew a gun. "Everybody down, don't move." The next few minutes would become one of the most audacious heists in British history. A $65 million daylight robbery, pulled off in the heart of London, under the gaze of cameras and security guards, in one of the most secure stores on earth. Graff Diamonds isn't just another luxury brand. Founded by Lawrence Graff, the company is synonymous with perfection. Celebrities, royalty, billionaires, they come here for stones so rare they seem unreal. Some of the world's most valuable diamonds have passed through these doors. The store itself was designed like a fortress of elegance. High ceilings, black marble floors, and showcases lit with surgical precision so that each gem blazed like fire. Security was top tier. Guards, alarms, surveillance systems. It wasn't a place anyone expected trouble. But for seasoned criminals, that's exactly what made it the perfect target. At 4:40 p.m., the two men, later identified as Amin Kassé and Craig Calderwood, began their operation. The first drew a handgun, waving it across the room. The second forced a terrified saleswoman to unlock display cases. They moved quickly, cleanly, with military control. Employees were forced to the ground. The robbers ordered them to fill a bag with jewels, necklaces, bracelets, diamond rings, rare watches. Within minutes, they had taken 43 pieces. One diamond necklace alone was worth £3.5 million. The total haul, £40 million, or roughly $65 million. The entire robbery lasted barely 3 minutes. Before leaving, one robber turned to the staff and said, "Don't move, stay down." Then they walked calmly toward the door, just as they'd entered. But outside, London's quiet hum had shifted. People on the street heard shouting, glass shattering. Someone screamed. And then, a gunshot, a warning shot into the ground. The men jumped into a waiting blue BMW, its engine already running. The car peeled off down New Bond Street, weaving into traffic. Police would later trace the getaway route, a masterclass in diversion. From the BMW, the robbers switched to a silver Mercedes, then to another car entirely, believed to be a Ford Galaxy or Volkswagen Sharon. Somewhere along the way, a motorcyclist was waiting, believed to have carried off the jewels themselves. It was a vanishing act, pulled off with military precision. Within minutes, the robbers were gone, and the world's attention was fixed on London. Scotland Yard was immediately on the case. Detectives pored over CCTV footage from every corner of Mayfair. They expected to find the robbers' faces clearly recorded. After all, Graff's security cameras were among the best in the business, and they did. Two men, well-dressed, walking confidently into the store. Clear shots of their faces. But something was wrong. When investigators began comparing the images to known criminal databases, nothing matched. The faces were unfamiliar, inhumanly smooth, slightly uncanny, like something out of a film. It took time before detectives realized the truth. The faces weren't real. The men had used professional prosthetics, expertly applied to change their entire appearance, skin tone, jawline, even the shape of their eyes. They had hired a makeup artist who believed they were actors filming a music video. Each prosthetic application had taken hours. This wasn't a last-minute disguise. It was theater, criminal artistry. Still, even the best laid plans leave traces. A breakthrough came when police recovered the abandoned BMW used in the escape. Inside, investigators found a mobile phone left behind in the rush. That single mistake cracked open the case. Through the phone, detectives traced call records, locations, and contacts. Slowly, a network began to emerge. Casey, Calderwood, Bain, Thomas, and others. The robbery wasn't the work of two lone gunmen. It was a team, possibly up to 10 people, each with assigned roles. Some handled vehicles, others scouted routes, and others arranged the disposal of the jewels. Within 2 weeks, arrests began across London. Amin Casey, just 25 years old, was identified as the ringleader. Charismatic, calm, with a sharp mind for planning, Casey had coordinated the logistics, from disguises to car swaps. Solomon Bain and Craig Calderwood were named as his key partners, the men seen entering Graff. Others, like Thomas and Mogg, were involved in the broader conspiracy, securing weapons, sourcing vehicles, arranging safe houses. By the time police wrapped up their operation, 10 men were in custody. But there was one problem. The diamonds, the entire £40 million haul, were gone. Not a single ring, not a single necklace was recovered. It was as if they had vanished from the earth. In 2010, after a lengthy investigation and trial at Woolwich Crown Court, the verdicts came in. Casey was sentenced to 23 years in prison. His co-conspirators received between 16 and 21 years each. The judge called it a meticulously planned, ruthlessly executed armed robbery. But while justice was served in the courtroom, the mystery of the jewels lingered. Where were they? Experts believe the answer lies in the black market of gem dealing, an invisible world that operates far beyond ordinary law. Diamonds are uniquely easy to disguise. With the right equipment, they can be recut, repolished, and regraded, erasing their original identities entirely. A flawless diamond worth millions could be sliced into smaller stones, each sold separately, no longer traceable to its origin. By the time the police realized this, it was too late. A real-life Ocean's 11 in the streets of London, but behind the headlines were human scars. The Graff staff who lived through those 3 minutes never forgot the fear, the cold muzzle of a gun pointed at them, the sound of glass shattering. Some left their jobs afterward. Others spoke of nightmares, jumpiness around loud noises, distrust of strangers. Even with the store rebuilt, the atmosphere changed. The era of invulnerability was gone. Graff increased security again, upgraded systems, reinforced entrances, and protocols that would make a repeat nearly impossible. But psychologically, the wound was deeper. Luxury and safety no longer felt synonymous. To this day, more than a decade later, several mysteries still hang in the air. First, where did the jewels go? Despite global alerts to dealers, auctions, and border agencies, not one item has surfaced. If the stones were indeed recut, who did it? It would have taken a highly skilled gem cutter, someone with both knowledge and nerve. Was there an insider in the jewelry trade helping them? Second, was everyone involved truly caught? Police arrested 10 men, but witnesses believe more were involved, particularly in logistics, car switching, and laundering the goods. The motorcyclist, for example, was never publicly identified, nor were those who likely funded the operation or arranged for the gems to be smuggled abroad. Third, was there an inside leak? How did the robbers know which items to take? How did they move so efficiently, avoiding security measures? Some believe someone with inside knowledge, even peripherally connected to the trade, may have supplied details. These questions still linger unanswered. As years passed, the Graff heist became a benchmark for criminal planning, studied by law enforcement, featured in documentaries, and referenced in pop culture. Its brilliance wasn't in brute force, but strategy. The robbers used disguise not to conceal themselves in darkness, but to blend in under light. They entered through the front door, in broad daylight, surrounded by cameras, knowing exactly how to beat them. And perhaps most impressively, or disturbingly, they succeeded without taking a single life. No one was killed. No one even seriously injured. To the public, That paradox was haunting. How could something so violent, so invasive, still feel almost elegant? But beneath that polished surface lay the truth: desperation and greed. Investigators later described Casey as an ambitious but reckless young man, someone chasing an image of sophistication and power. He wasn't a criminal mastermind. Not really. He was a man seduced by the illusion of control. He believed he could outthink the system, reinvent himself, even change his face. But in the end, what betrayed him wasn't the diamonds or the disguise. It was a single phone forgotten in a car. That tiny mistake toppled an empire of planning. Looking back, the 2009 Graff Diamonds heist feels like a symbol not just of crime, but of human contradiction. A crime of elegance and chaos. A robbery built on confidence and illusion. A plan that worked and yet ultimately failed. Because even though the thieves got away with the jewels, they didn't escape the truth that follows every act of greed. You can steal beauty, but you can't keep it. Those diamonds, if they still exist, have likely changed hands countless times. Cut, sold, loved, forgotten. But the fear left behind in that store, the shock that rippled across London, those things remain. In the years since, London has seen other high-profile robberies, but none with quite the same blend of sophistication and cinematic flair. The $65 million diamond heist remains one of the boldest and most puzzling robberies ever committed in the United Kingdom. A crime that blended art, fear, and greed, pulled off in broad daylight, under the watchful eyes of a city that never thought it could happen. And though the culprits were caught, their prize remains lost, somewhere out there, perhaps closer than we think, sparkling quietly in the dark. Because in the end, some treasures don't need to be found to haunt us. They just need to disappear. This is Crimes Unknown, where cold cases refuse to stay buried. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more haunting mysteries. And don't forget to like the video to support real crime stories that deserve to be heard. Drop your theories in the comments.